The late summer sun hangs over Drywell Valley like a blacksmith's iron, white-hot, unyielding. Samuel Sam Cutter wipes a sleeve across his brow and listens to the wind pump groan another weary circle. 4 years of desert silence have trained his ears to catch coyote yips a mile away. The pop of a fence staple easing in the heat, but what he hears now is nothing at all, and nothing is how he likes it. Then the wind shifts and carries a sound that does not belong, fabric rustling where no cottonwood grows. Sam straightens. At the far end of the fence line, 9 figures crest a low rise. Women, their dresses shredded by mesquite thorns, their steps slow and unsteady. The first drops to her knees, then the second, until all 9 are kneeling in the powdery dirt as though a cathedral has sprung from the dust. Sam's pulse kicks. Visitors never come by accident. The closest town is 2 days' ride, and the trail is bad even for men on fresh horses. He reaches the porch, working the stiffness from fingers that haven't held a rifle in months. From 40 paces, he can read the story on their skin. Rope burns dark against sun-blistered wrists, bruises purpling collarbones. One girl's sleeve soaks scarlet at the seam. Their leader, a tall woman with an auburn braid and eyes like riverstone, raises her chin. Her voice cracks but carries, "Sir, please. They're hunting us." 4 words, and the cabin Sam built to keep the world out feels suddenly porous as cheesecloth. He says nothing. 3 years of solitude left him with more ghosts than sentences. Yet his gaze drifts to the youngest, a blonde slip of a thing swaying with fever. And an old ache stirs. The auburn-haired woman tries to stand. She manages 1 step before her knees buckle. Sam moves without thinking, boots thudding down the porch stairs. As he closes the distance, he notes details that make the hairs on his neck rise. Every dress bears a crude brand, a charred-in D at the hem. Ownership, slavers. He stops short, forcing distance he's not sure he can keep. "Nearest water's 4 miles back," he rasps, throat rusty from disuse. "Why pass it for a stranger's gate?" "They took the stream," the woman answers, breath hitching. "Deputy Marshal Lucas Dane. Badge and paper. Claims were indentured. We ran at dusk, lost the trail, kept moving till our legs quit." Dane. Sam tastes iron at the name. He's heard campfire rumors. A badge that sells flesh, a posse that rides with forged contracts, trouble anchored to a 6-point star. "I can't." The words snag in Sam's throat. "I can't help you." He built this life to ensure he'd never again watch blood seep into desert soil. Yet he sees Ellie, the fever girl, fold in on herself like a colt collapsing, and the decision he swore he'd never make again crystallizes in his chest. A low vibration ripples through the ground. Sam turns west and squints. A faint dust column, maybe 10 miles out, crawling over the lip of Red Mesa. Horses, running hard. He counts beat pauses in the wind. 8, 9, enough. The auburn woman follows his gaze. Terror flashes across her dirt-streaked face. "We thought we bought an hour," she whispers. Sam's fortress of silence lists under the weight of the moment. He can slam the door and let the desert finish what Dane began. Within a day, no one will remember 9 nameless women bled out on Cutterland. Or he can open that door and invite the exact violence he fled 4 years ago. He meets the woman's eyes. "Name?" "Rebecca Hayes." "Rebecca," he echoes, tasting the syllables like a scout drinks creek water after a long dry ride. "Your people armed?" "Not anymore." She lifts empty hands, rope burns bright against grime. Sam exhales long. Choices clatter in his skull like loose rounds in a tin. Finally he speaks, a single command that surprises even him. "Get up, all of you." He gestures toward the porch. "Shade's thin, but it's cooler than dust." They rise, swaying, supporting one another. Martha with a blood-soaked sash, Julia limping, Ellie trembling under the weight of fever. As they cross the threshold, Sam hears, far off, the sharp report of a whip crack, a posse driver testing his leather. Less than an hour, maybe 40 minutes. He pushes the cabin door wide, heart hammering a cadence he hasn't marched to since the war. Shadows pour into the single-room space that held only a cot, a table, and 4 years of self-appointed exile. 9 desperate women fill it in an instant, shrinking the room, expanding the stakes. Outside, the dust plume swells, closer now, thick as chimney smoke. Sam shoulders the doorframe, rifle finally in hand, and studies the horizon. One question thrums beneath the gunmetal sky, a question that will decide life or death for everyone now trapped inside his walls. Does a man who ran from his past still have enough steel to face it on his own porch? The desert offers no answer, only the distant thunder of hooves galloping closer. Inside Samuel Cutter's cabin, the desert heat condenses into a single frantic heartbeat. The 9 women crowd the one-room space, filling every edge with ragged breathing and the copper scent of blood, while Sam bolts the door and drops the crossbar he hasn't touched in 4 years. A kettle rattles to life on the stove. Rebecca Hayes, jaw set despite the crimson patch at her ribs, helps Ellie Moore onto Sam's cot. Fever blazes in the girl's eyes. Sweat purls along her hairline like dew on dry cactus. Martha King tears a strip from her own skirt for a compress, fingers shaking but precise. In another corner, Julia Ross and 2 sisters named Clara and Ruth rummage through Sam's shelves, finding nothing but jerky, flour, and a half-empty bottle of laudanum. Sam kneels by a footlocker, throws back the lid. Cold iron greets him. A Winchester 73 with 40-odd cartridges, an 8-gauge coach gun, a Colt Peacemaker wrapped in oilcloth, and 3 dynamite sticks he'd sworn never to touch again. He counts aloud, more for his nerves than their ears. Winchester 42, shotgun 18, Colt 9. He glances up. That dust tail is a posse, not a patrol, likely 8 rifles. Anyone here shoot? Rebecca raises a trembling hand. Martha follows. Julia coughs. I can load if I can't aim. Sam nods, passing weapons like communion. Courage disguised as walnut and steel. Posse's still 10 minutes out. We use every second. Lightning flickers beyond the lone window. Silent for now. Storm heat brewing over the mesa, promising either salvation or chaos. Sam shoves a table against the sill, pries up a floorboard, and reveals a shallow trench of caltrops, rusty 4 spikes he forged for coyotes. Julia's eyes widen. You planned for war. Planned to be left alone, he mutters, scattering the cruel stars into a grain sack. He hands it to Ruth. Spread these in the cattle run, north side only. We'll leave the south clear, force them where we want them. Rebecca grips the edge of the table as a wave of pain bends her in half. Sam sees the blood seeping faster now. No time for stitches. He splashes whiskey over the wound, binds it with clean toweling, then presses her revolver into her palm. If they breach the door, aim low. Horses first, then men. Thunder growls closer, this time with voice. The kettle screams. Julia pulls it and douses Ellie's compress. Outside, hooves drum like war drums. The cabin trembles. Sam shoulders the Winchester, steps to the rear door that opens toward the dam path. I rigged fuse line when the well ran dry last spring. Break that dam and a wall of water will roar down the arroyo. Could drown Dane's whole outfit. Martha stiffens. And any prisoners he's dragging with him? You flood that canyon, you kill our own. Her words pierce him. Images of Lydia flash. Her laugh, her soft humming while mending shirts. Then silence broken by Lucas Dane's sneer. His knuckles tighten on the rifle. He breathes once, twice, shelves the dynamite. Then we hold this ground. A hammering knock, 3 blows, shakes the front door. Sam's heart slams back like a gate in wind. A voice slips through the cracks, smooth as oiled steel. Cutter, Deputy Marshal Dane demands entry. 9 debt jumpers inside belong to the United States. Rebecca flinches. Sam sees terror flare and fade into cold resolve. He leans to the women. Second knock means they're testing our fear. Third, they shoot. Positions. Clara and Ruth slide behind overturned barrels with the shotgun. Martha settles beside the cot, revolver braced across her knee. Julia waits at the west shutter, caltrop sack now empty, eyes trained beyond the slats. Sam steps onto the porch, rifle angled across his chest. The dust plume has become 8 mounted silhouettes fanned across the yard. Lucas Dane sits center, silver badge shining like a snake's eye. Storm clouds stack behind him, bruised purple against the dying light. Dane calls again, voice carrying authority Sam once believed in. Hand them over, Cutter. Contracts are legal. Interfering makes you an accessory and an enemy of the badge. Thunder pops overhead like distant musket fire. Sam answers, voice hoarse yet steady. Badge don't legalize bondage. Turn around before the rain washes your tracks clean. Dane laughs. His men spread wider, looking for angles. Behind Sam, Rebecca's whisper threads through the door crack. 5 minutes, maybe less. Lightning forks, its white glare revealing every prick of sweat on Sam's brow. He remembers Lydia's final words, words he never heard but imagines every night. Fight. He raises the Winchester to his shoulder. Dane's smile dies. His hand drops to his holster. Somewhere to the north, first raindrops hit dry earth with a hiss like fuses starting. Inside the darkened cabin, 9 survivors hold their breath, knowing the next heartbeat will decide whether silence returns to Drywell Valley or explodes into a reckoning loud enough to shake the desert awake. Lightning rips open the afternoon like a saw through canvas, flooding the yard in blue-white glare. For a frozen heartbeat, Sam Cutter, Lucas Dane, and 8 mounted enforcers stare at one another as if cast in marble. Then darkness slams back, louder than thunder. Dane speaks first, calm as a banker balancing books. You've got 9 absconded assets in that shack, Cutter. Signed contracts, witnessed and stamped. He pats the badge on his vest. Federal ink. Sam thumbs back the Winchester's hammer. Click. The tiny sound carries farther than Dane's baritone. Law that sells people ain't law worth obeying. One of the riders, skinny, lantern-jawed, spurs jingling, edges left, searching for a flank. Julia Ross, watching through the west shutter, breathes a single word. Wait! The man's horse steps onto Ruth's caltrip spread. Iron spikes punch through fetlock. The gelding screams, topples. Rider hits dirt, shrieking curses that vanish under the hiss of sudden rainfall. Dane's eyes flick, but his composure never cracks. Tactics, I see. Makes you feel braver? Brave enough, Sam answers. Another flash. Martha King in the cabin doorway, shotgun leveled but hidden in shadow. She whispers to Rebecca, blood seeping again. Rebecca presses new cloth against her side, jaw clenched. Ellie moans, fever climbing. They have minutes, not hours. Dane lifts a hand and the posse halts. Rain thickens, turning dust to paste. He raises his voice so every soul in Drywell Valley can hear. You've confused kindness with suicide, Cutter. Hand my property over and we ride. Keep them. And when this is done, the territory will plant you beneath the floor you're protecting. Sam shifts his stance, feet sliding in gathering mud. Property? He spits. Name them. Silence. A raindrop hits his rifle barrel with a tiny sizzle. Finally, Dane recites, board. Indenture 1. Rebecca Hayes, debt $200. 2. Martha King, debt $175. 3. Julia Ross, each name flung like a poker chip. 9 women reduced to ledger entries. Through the door crack, Rebecca's voice cuts the list in half. Ask him who forged the debts. Dane's head tilts, wolfish curiosity sparking. They talking to you, Cutter. Best plug that hole before words seep out like blood. Sam's grip tightens. Answer. Thunder growls, the sky flickers again. Sam sees Dane's smile widen. I did, of course. Quicker that way. No bluff. No shame. For Sam, it is the moment the world tilts from gray into absolute black and white. The rifle rises a hair. Before either man can breathe smoke, a new sound blooms beyond the posse. Wah-wah, soft, rhythmic. A baby's cry, muffled by canvas. Everyone hears it. No one moves. Sam's stomach turns to Riverstone. A child? Dane rolls his shoulders, water streaming off his hat brim. Insurance. He gestures behind him at the supply wagon tethered under a juniper. Town laundress. Little bundle of noise. She keeps my boys from looting the whiskey too early. Inside the cabin, Martha sucks air between her teeth. They brought civilians. Ellie tries to sit up, delirious. Baby crying, she murmurs. Sounds like my sister's boy. Rebecca steadies her, eyeing Sam through the crack. She mouths, "Damn flood is off the table." Sam nods. Any thought of dynamiting the arroyo dies with that single wail. Lightning forks again, and in its glare, Sam sees wet rivulets carving tracks down Dane's cheeks. A trick of rain that looks almost like tears. But Dane only grins, tapping 2 fingers against his badge. Tick-tock, rancher. Storm worsens, tempers shorten. Decide. Sam's mind races. 9 wounded women, 1 infant hostage, 8 gunmen, rain turning the yard into sucking clay. He needs an edge, something Dane can't calculate. His gaze drifts to the barn door swinging loose in the gusts, to the hayloft ladder, to an old pulley once used for lifting saddles. A plan sparks, reckless, thin as spider silk, but better than waiting to be overrun. He backs toward the porch wall, calls over his shoulder just loud enough for cabin ears. "Rebecca, ready lantern oil. Julia, fetch the rope coil by the forge. Martha, 2 shells left barrel, 2 right." Dane's lieutenant, the lantern-jawed man now limping on foot, spits mud. "Boss, rain's gonna drown the rifles. Let's finish this." Dane shakes his head, eyes never leaving Sam. Every minute our hermit doubts, his odds shrink. He raises his voice once more. "Last offer. Step aside." Sam glances at the closed door where 9 lives listen. He hears Lydia's laugh in the thunder, reminds himself what cowardice cost. Then he sets the Winchester stock against his shoulder, muzzle aimed square at Dane's badge. His reply is soft, almost polite. "Ride or bleed, Marshal. Storm chooses in 5. Raindrops drum faster, harder, masking the shuffle of Julia and Ruth slipping out the back to circle the barn. Lightning stutters overhead, illuminating 8 nervous horses, 1 furious badge man, and a rancher who has finally remembered what courage feels like. Somewhere beneath the wagon canvas, the baby cries again, higher, urgent, as if sensing the desert itself has paused to witness the instant before violence detonates. And if you stood on that porch, rifle cold against your cheek, would you pull the trigger first, or dare the storm to decide? The rain turns to needles, stinging eyes, flattening dust into slick clay. Sam Cutter counts silently, 1, 2, 3, until he glimpses Julia and Ruth circling behind the barn, soaked skirts plastered to their legs, rope coil slung between them like a snake waiting to strike. On the porch, he keeps the Winchester rock steady, feigning stillness so Dane's gaze never drifts from the muzzle aimed at his badge. Inside the cabin, Rebecca strikes a match, tips lamp oil into 2 tin wash basins. Martha pumps the shotgun, chambers fresh shells, her lips moving in a prayer that sounds more like a promise. Ellie, feverish yet fierce, props herself in the loft window with Sam's revolver. Sweat beads on her brow, but her grip is pure steel. Lightning flickers, each bolt a strobing lantern revealing their positions, then hiding them again. At the barn's lee side, Julia knots rope to the old saddle pulley, threads it through a hay hook she's capped with one of Sam's dynamite sticks. Ruth shells the last of Rebecca's sewing needles into a burlap pouch of black powder, makeshift shrapnel. They need only one distraction, one heartbeat of chaos. On cue, Sam tilts the rifle barrel skyward and fires. The shot cracks across the valley like a starting pistol. Horses rear, Dane's men flinch. "Hold!" Dane snarls, spitting rainwater. But the single round isn't aimed to kill. It strikes the iron wind pump behind him. Sparks shower, clank echoing across the storm. Every head pivots. Julia yanks the pulley rope. The dynamite hook swings from hayloft rafters, arcs over the yard, and slams into the feed trough at Dane's flank. Whoomp! A dull, concussive thud that sprays mud and blinding smoke. Horses scream. Lantern jaw, Willis stumbles, clutching a face full of shrapnel. Sam's second shot is not a warning. It punches through the smoke, catches a rider high in the shoulder, spins him from the saddle. In the loft, Ellie fires twice, one round wild, the next true, shattering the reins of Dane's mount. The marshal's stallion bolts, leaving its rider thigh-deep in mud and rage. Martha throws open the door. She kicks one oil-filled basin down the porch stairs. Rebecca follows with the second. Lanterns smash, flames bloom, thin at first, then ravenous as gusting wind feeds them. Fire snakes across the slick ground, hemming the posse between burning lines and the caltropped corral. Thunder answers with a guttural roar, as if even the sky approves the ambush. Dane recovers fast. Pistol in each hand, he roars orders. Two men rush the porch. Martha's shotgun erupts, a double blossom of orange thunder. One attacker folds without sound. The other hurls himself aside, bleeding from buckshot, gun clattering useless in the mud. Behind the blaze, Julia and Ruth sprint for the supply wagon. Rain hisses on the flames but cannot drown them. The oil burns hot, clear. Under the canvas, a laundress named Annie Griffin shields her crying baby. Ruth cuts their bonds. Julia lifts the infant, tucks the tiny body beneath her coat. Thunder cracks so close it rattles rib cages, masking their retreat into the converging dark. Sam advances off the porch into sheets of rain now lit hellfire orange. Dane sees him, levels a pistol, and squeezes. Click. Wet primer. Fury twists the marshal's features. He flings the useless sidearm and reaches for his carbine. But slippery mud betrays him. Sam is on him in 3 strides. The Winchester stalks across Dane's jaw, wood on bone, a crack that feels final. Dane drops to one knee. Sam cocks the lever, barrel inches from the silver star that once terrified half the territory. Lightning freezes them in stark silhouette, the runaway hermit and the badge that murdered his past. Dane's lips curl. Kill me and every badge south of Santa Fe hunts you till the earth is bare. Sam's voice is a rasp cut from bedrock. Better ghosts than chains. He tilts the barrel, but before fate seals, a shout rings from the cabin loft. Sam, right flank! A surviving gunman, shoulder blood slick, props a Spencer rifle across a water barrel, sights on Sam's back. Ellie's fevered arm trembles, but her aim holds. She fires. The recoil nearly drags her through the window. The bullet finds its mark, rifle, hand, then flesh. The assailant's shot veers high, punching harmlessly into storm clouds. Dane seizes the opening, dives, mud splashes, badge glittering, and scrambles toward the corral gate where 2 riderless horses panic against flaming puddles. He mounts sloppy but fast, spurs raw hide, bolts for the eastern slope. 3 remaining henchmen flee after him, leaving 2 groaning bodies and 1 silent in the dirt. Rain smothers the oil fire, steam spirals skyward with the smell of spent powder and scorched grain. Julia reemerges, drenched, Annie and baby safe beside her. Rebecca presses a shaking hand to her wound but remains upright. Martha reloads with grim efficiency. Sam watches the fleeing silhouettes crest the ridge, red lightning licking their retreat. He lowers the Winchester. Every tendon in his arms quivers from held fury. The battle for Cutter's porch is won, but the war chases Dane into the dark, and Thunder heads that direction too. Inside the cabin, Ellie collapses. Exhaustion, overwhelming fever. 9 women, 1 rancher, a rescued child, and a valley littered with shell casing stand between safety and revenge. The storm has spent its first rage, but dawn is hours away, and Lucas Dane rides with vengeance pushing at his heels. If he returns with fresh guns, will Sam choose pursuit or fortify the ruin he just saved? The storm limps east, leaving Drywell Valley drenched and echo still. Sam Cutter kneels by the porch rail, wiping Dane's blood from the Winchester's stock. Every muscle begs for rest, yet his mind sprints. The marshal still breathes, and men like Lucas Dane heal fast when rage is medicine. Rebecca Hayes braces herself against a post, bandage blooming crimson again. He'll fetch reinforcements, she says, voice husky but steady. We can't outshoot a second wave. Sam studies the ridge where Dane vanished. Horses cannot gallop far in sodden sand. The posse will hole up nurse wounds, radio vengeance through the territory's grapevine. Unless the thought arrives like dawn itself, law reaches them first. You said church folk filed a petition weeks back, Sam recalls. Who'd they send it to? District Marshal's office in Tucson, Rebecca answers. Sam's jaw sets. Tucson's riders travel night and day for testimony like yours. We light a beacon. They'll smell smoke. Julia Ross steps from the barn holding a coil of still-burning pitch rope, rescued from Dane's fire. Beacon enough? Sam nods. Build it on the wind pump tower. Tallest spine for 50 miles. While Martha reloads cartridges and Ruth stands watch, Sam and Julia climb the iron wind pump. They lash oil-soaked burlap around the gear cage. Each twist reignites tiny tongues of flame, sheltered from the rain's last spit. Sam empties his final kerosene flask, steps back, and sparks flint against steel. Woof! Orange light floods the valley, rises like a second moon. Smoke snakes skyward, visible for 20 miles once dawn thins the cloud bank. Sam's heart pounds, half in hope, half in dread. Signal marshals, or lure Dane straight back. Below, Ellie Moore drifts in fevered sleep beside Annie Griffin's soot-cheeked baby. Rebecca checks the girl's pulse, offers laudanum, then slumps against the wall, finally allowing pain to drag her eyelids shut. Sam drops from the tower, boots splashing in new puddles. A restless silence settles. No thunder, no hoofbeats, only the dull roar of wet wood devouring itself on high. Night crawls. An hour before dawn, the hush fractures. Hooves, many but disciplined, not Dane's ragged rhythm. Julia peers through the smoking glow and whispers, "Riders, West Trail, Federal Bluecoats." 3 silhouettes detach from the gloom, rifles angled skyward. The lead rider cups hands round a brass cone. District Marshal Everett Cole, signal your safety. Sam chambers around, fires into the air. Flame billows, sparks drift like fireflies. The detachment trots in. 6 deputies, rain-slick hats, eyes measuring carnage. Cole dismounts beside Sam, gaze lingering on bullet-chewed beams. Your flare nearly blinded us. Thought the valley was ablaze. Crime scene still warm, Sam replies, jerking a thumb toward blood-dark mud. Perpetrator riding wounded. Lucas Dane. Cole's jaw hardens. We've warrants a month old. Where? East Ridge, nursing busted men. Sam looks to Rebecca, who struggles to stand. I'll lead. Cole leaves 2 deputies to guard the cabin. The rest follow Sam toward the arroyo. Rain gave way to low fog. Dawn paints it lilac. They find Dane exactly where Sam wagered, sheltered in a box of red rock, binding Willis's shredded face. 8 federal rifles level before the outlaws can draw. Marshal Cole announces charges: kidnapping, slavery, murder conspiracy. Dane spits mud, snarls at Sam. You think a badge saves you from another? Sam answers by slipping Lydia's locket from his pocket, untarnished silver now reflecting sunrise, and hanging it round Dane's neck. So every mile of court travel reminds you who finished your trade. Deputies shackle the whipped posse. Dane's wounded horse limps behind the tether chain. Its hooves thud like gavel strikes. Mid-morning, Cole reads formal arrest citations to the 9 women under the wind pump's charred skeleton. Each victim steps forward, states her name, signs her mark on an affidavit. When Rebecca's turn comes, Marshal Cole salutes. Testimony this thorough will butcher Dane's influence for good. Ellie wakes lucid, fever broken. She fingers the baby's tiny fist and beams weakly at Sam. Looks like the valley decided to live. Sam surveys the wreckage: splintered porch rail, bullet-pocked rain barrel, scorched fence. But the silence feels different now, as if grief itself is exhaling. He walks to Rebecca, presses a canteen into her hand. You still bound for Prescott? She nods, though exhaustion wobbles her knees. 9 desks need building, Mr. Cutter, and a roof over them. Sam hefts the Winchester, suddenly heavier in peacetime. Then I reckon I've got lumber to haul. Marshal Cole swings into his saddle, prisoners chained in tow. Territory thanks you, Cutter. Some men drink themselves numb after loss. You set the desert on fire. Sam tips his hat, watches the convoy disappear between yucca thickets, badgemen and outlaws shrinking to moats. Rebecca's palm brushes his. You could call it accident, except neither moves away. That winter, a 1-room schoolhouse rises in Prescott, beams cut from dead mesquite. Sam drags north 2 wagon loads at a time. Rebecca teaches letters by day, cleans gunshot scars by lantern at night. Ellie graduates to assistant, baby Griffin to giggling mascot. On calm evenings, Sam stands by the doorway, Lydia never walked through and listens to children reciting endless, hopeful alphabet lines. The wind drifting down from Drywell carries no ghosts, only sawdust and chalk. He fingers the locket around his neck, now containing a scrap of Prescott school ribbon beside Lydia's faded portrait, and smiles at a horizon no longer empty, because sometimes one flare against the night is enough to reroute every life within its glow and burn a slaver's empire to ash for good.